everybody. This is Carrie Schaefer, also sometimes known as author Carrie Ann King, and this is Tell Me Your Secrets. Today is kind of weird, as everything is weird right now, as you know, but here's Andrea Bartz over here, and she's going to say hi real quick, and then I'm going to talk to you about a couple things, housekeeping, before we keep going. So we're both on social distancing, but we get to talk anyway, which is one of the things that is so awesome about social media. I do want to say to my writer friends out there and my reader friends, everybody who loves books, I've been realizing over this last week just how important books are. I don't know about you, but the more stressed I am, the more I want to read. And really, my main comfort this week, I've been buried in books. And I should tell you what I've been reading. I've been reading Michael Connelly. I actually dove into one of his Lincoln Lawyer books because I was writing a scene that involved a courtroom. And so, I needed that. And I just got so immersed. I read straight like 3 books for 3 days. So I just wanted to remind all of you guys, if you're a reader, support your writers right now in any way that you can. I know money's tight and all that, but put up reviews, just encourage them, because we know you need the books to read. And my writer friends out there, I know it's hard to get to the writing. So much distraction, anxiety, and all that going on, but we're needed. We are the story people. Story people have always been needed. And so find a place to get calm and allow yourself that. It's a gift. Nothing like that flow of getting into your words. And I also just want to tell you real quick, and I'll tell you again at the end, if you are really having trouble getting to your work, email me, contact@carrieschaefer.com, KERRYSCHAFER.com, and I'll do some freebie tapping EFT sessions with some of you guys, if that's what would be helpful to get you, calm down and back to work, because we need to be doing our stuff, right? And that said, I'm going to take us directly to Andrea Bartz. Hi, Andrea, again.
Hi, hello again.
And I was just, do we call you Andy or do we call you Andrea?
Andrea Bartz is my sort of professional name, but all my friends call me Andy, so you can call me Andy. Like Matt and Matthew. People get so confused, but it's just a nickname.
I like Andy. It's funny because your publicist emailed me and I was like, oh, that sounds so much friendlier.
Like, who's this Andy?
And then it's funny, actually, I should tell you. So I was writing, I have a character whose name is Andrea. She was named before I met you. And then I started nicknaming her Andy because of that. So,
I had a character sort of remotely roundabout named after me. I love it.
Right, there you go. So all you guys who are watching or listening later after the fact, Andrea has a book out this week. And as you can imagine, this is kind of weird times to be releasing a book.
Yes.
But she's doing all of the social media and the book's out there. It's got some awesome reviews. I already looked. The book is called The Herd. Herd. She's going to hold it up for you. They're beautiful. If you can't see this, you guys, you just go to Amazon or your favorite indie bookstore site or whatever and look up The Herd by Andrea Bartz. You can see that cover. Here's the thing. The herd in this case, you might think we're talking about sheep or cows or, some kind of critter, but we are not. We are talking about a co-working space for women. Yeah. And so, I've heard it's kind of a joke. Women go to the bathroom in the herd, the restroom. I've heard that kind of thing. Like we herd sometimes in those situations. So let's first off the bat, Andrea, do you want to tell us a little bit about what The Herd is about? What's the story?
Sure. So as you said, The Herd is a thriller that's set in an exclusive elite all-female co-working space in New York City. And in this story, the sort of glamorous and enigmatic founder of the co-working space, whose name is Eleanor, goes missing the night of a very important company announcement. And so it's up to her closest friends to try to uncover where she could be, if there might have been foul play, if she left of her own accord, and why. And sort of as they dig, the more secrets they uncover. And the book, digs deep into these themes of our sky high standards for high achieving women, how sort of perfect we all need to feel a need to be, and what happens for all of us when those perfect facades begin to crack. And it's dark and it's twisty. It's escapist, I think. So if you're missing workplace drama and workplace gossip, like,
Right.
have I got the book for you?
She does, and it is twisty. I have to say, I thought I knew. I thought I knew,
Really?
and then
Love
I
that.
didn't. Well, because I read a lot of thrillers, so I'm usually a pretty good guesser, and lots of times I'm a little bit disappointed because there's that point. I don't know if you've experienced this when you're a reader and you get to the middle of the book and you think you see where it's going, and you're actually praying to the book, kind of please don't go there.
Please don't let us do that. Yep. Well, I'm very glad to hear that wasn't the case with this book.
It was not the case. It did not disappoint in that way at all. So another thing that I love about this book, guys, because some of my people are women's fiction readers, and it's kind of a crossover book in a lot of ways. There's a huge growth arc for both of our two major characters. There's sisters. There's one I think of as the main character. I forgot her name.
Are you thinking of Katie? You mentioned the journalist before.
I am thinking of Katie, the journalist. Katie in my mind, because she's the one I connected to the most, probably. Katie's a journalist. Katie has secrets, and she has some insecurities, and she's trying to find her way into the herd, and maybe isn't their ideal workspace herd person, even though she has an in. So there's this it brings up this dynamic that I find fascinating. Women and relationships and competition. And, sometimes we can have these friendships that are so amazingly supportive, and sometimes they're not quite so much.
Well, I think what's interesting is that I have really amazing friends, and very healthy female friendships, and various sort of, my own herd of supportive women. But even then, like, the friends that I adore the most, sometimes I do feel insecure around them, or there's certain things I'll tell to one friend but not another, and sides of myself I don't want to show, or I'll feel envious or jealous, or competitive, even at the same time that I'm really happy for a friend. And I think that that's normal, but I think for women in particular, we're not allowed to feel that way. We're not supposed to feel that way. And so there's this added sort of layer of shame of always sort of judging ourselves about how we're judging other people and judging ourselves. And it was fun to play with that in The Herd, because it has dual narrators. As you mentioned, one of them is Katie, this sort of brash, funny, go-getter journalist. And then her older sister, Hannah, who is the head of PR for The Herd. She's one of the original sort of founders. She's been there since day one. And she's extremely buttoned up. She's sort of the mom of any group. She's always in control. She's dependable. Everyone can turn to her. And it was fun to play with these dual narrators, because then you could get into Katie's head and have Katie sort of envying Hannah for being so in control and just feeling like such a hot mess in comparison. But then you move into Hannah's head, and Hannah is looking at her little sister Katie and thinking, God, she has it good. She sort of resents that she has to be the one who's in charge, and that she has to, everyone depends on her to do everything, and she wishes she could be funny and brash and charismatic like her little sister. And so it was fun to play with that idea of, we're all constantly sort of getting feedback on how we're being perceived as women, and figuring out sort of what mask or what armor suits us best and will work best for us as a way to, be a successful woman in the world. And it was fun to then get into different heads and sort of subvert expectations of, that other woman must have it better than me. Right. And when you actually go beneath the surface, we've all got secrets, and we've all got, regrets, and we've all got things that we're jealous of. And it was fun to play with that.
Right. Well, and I love that you actually, dove into those somewhat dark waters, because we are kind of taught that, we, as girls, with my women friends that I have now, it's not this way so much. We really, I'm very fortunate to be making some incredible female friendships where we are really pretty honest. But it took me a long time because I was very scarred in high school by what happened with that. I used to want to play with the boys. That was hard for me in high school because what I liked about the boys, if they were mad, they told you. Straight up front. And they'd have a fight and they'd be done. And then, a lot of girls, and we're taught this, is you're not allowed to be. So instead you get really very sweet and passive aggressive. And, then that stabby thing happens. And for those of us who are by nature limited in our ability to play that, things don't go well. So this played out in your book really in so many different ways. And so that was fascinating to watch on top of the incredibly twisty plot.
Thank you. Well, there's a lot sort of to mine as I was just going to say there's a lot to mine as a thriller writer, because when we're all hiding things in order to sort of seem perfect, that I as the writer get to explore, well, what are you hiding? What is the darkness that everyone's keeping underneath? So
right
into it.
Right. It was very fascinating. There were a lot of really awesome themes that came up as well. Just that, one of your characters, I can't remember which one, did bring up the whole thing about, well, here we are, and we moved into this co-working women's space, so we wouldn't have to play these games and put on these appearances. And then look what we're doing, right?
Yeah. And I think, I was noticing for myself, I'm not a member of any all-female co-working spaces, but I've been a guest at them. And I definitely was catching myself, thinking about my makeup, thinking about my outfit when I was actually there trying to be very charming and on and, likable. And I think it's because women have so much internalized misogyny because we've been taught since birth that in being likable and making other people comfortable. And so certainly my idea was not to say women are catty and backstabby and all those things. It's I'm trying to criticize the larger society that pits women against each other in this way.
Right. Well, and I just love that the theme's up and then it's open for discussion. So it's really it's another way of opening the Me Too door, really, in a way, in that it's just a different aspect of looking at the same problem, what shapes us and what puts us in that place. It's funny because I'm very lucky. My Viking, with whom I live, he will, there'll be a day where I'm running around and I'm in a t-shirt and maybe I've combed my hair and I maybe even haven't been in the shower and I definitely have not put on makeup. And he'll look at me and go, "You look really hot today." And he prefers that. I know, so lucky. But what he'll bring out for me sometimes is, you ladies put the makeup on for each other more than you do for the guys. And I think there's some truth to that, that competitive thing. So do you have any ideas or thoughts about, how do we deal with that? How do we stop competing with each other so much and support each other? Because I'm all about that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely am too. And I hope that, the book is sort of a springboard for discussion for some people, in addition to just being a really entertaining way to spend a few hours.
Sure. Both things, right? You can look at it either way.
Right. I know I'm not necessarily changing the world here, but I think discussing it is one of the biggest pieces. And I think allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and to show the less sanitized versions of ourselves is powerful and very scary. And, even for me, social media is kind of a thing that comes up in the book a lot, of people having these curated, perfect seeming, Instagram feeds and everything. And again, it's below the surface, there's definitely more going on. But when you look at these photos, wow, these women seem to have perfect lives. Right. And I noticed that for myself, I am constantly doing the weird math of, even if I'm miserable, I post a great photo and have a very happy caption and, throw that off into the universe, knowing that it doesn't actually reflect how I feel in that moment. And yet when I look at other people's Instagrams, I assume that that's real and that's the truth for them. And it's so absurd. I've even been finding myself doing it during this quarantine where, I see the images of somebody who has a great backyard and they're playing with their kids, or they have, 40 acres in the country and it's so beautiful, or they're up at their house in the mountains, or they're just, with their husband. I'm here alone and, thank God that we have technology to actually talk to people.
Right.
But I look at that and I think they must be doing so great. I'm so envious. This is on a deep level. This isn't, me too nuts. So, and so I think that one of the ways to counteract that is just to like, A, keep in mind people are showing the shiniest versions of themselves, but then B, to show the less shiny versions of ourselves. Yeah. So to give you an example, on Tuesday, my publication day, I was rushing through the day. I'm doing all the things. I'm on social media. I'm thanking people. I'm doing interviews. And I actually missed at first that a friend had sent me a link and said, hey, we put this together for you, because I was just so busy. So I didn't see it for a few hours. And I finally did. And some friends had sort of gathered all of these videos from a bunch of different friends from different realms of my life, where they just said, congrats on your new book, and kind of gave me a personal message, and uploaded them all to the same Instagram feed, instagram.com/congrats-Andy. And I got this, and I was initially so confused. And then once I started watching them, I was just crying everywhere, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
It was so nice. And I thought, I should take a video or something. I should wait till I stop crying and can clean myself up, and then I should take a video. Maybe it'll take a few takes, and then I should upload that thanking them. And then I was like, wait, the whole point of my book is that you don't need to be perfect all the time. And what we should, if more of us can be brave and show our shame and our different moments and things we feel uncomfortable with or sheepish about or embarrassed about, that will help others to do the same. And so I went live on Instagram for the first time, and there's just me like ugly crying for 5 minutes and thanking everyone. And it was scary. I hate having people see me cry. I hate it when it's just one person that I really trust. And so having it public was quite scary. But I think that's a big part of the solution, in addition to all of the institutionalized stuff that needs to change about the messaging that we're getting from birth in ads and in the messages that little boys are getting about what it means to be a boy and be a man, and emotional intelligence and acceptance of all sort of the range of gender expressions and all of those things, which are very important too.
Right.
Yeah.
And where it starts, though, really, I think, is with us. And that's the best place to start, and really the only place to start. And where the people in your story, I think, kind of got in trouble is they kind of, missed that step. But being comfortable with you, and well, let's go with me, who I am as a human being, and finding that being okay, and maybe even in love with this body that I'm in, and the brain that I have, and the level of talent that I possess, and my own personality. And once I'm comfortable and safe and secure in that, then when I look out into the world and I see what everybody else is doing, I'm much less likely to be threatened or jealous or petty or, any of those things. So I think that's where it starts. That's where the work starts.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to put it, is like being kinder to yourself and more compassionate to yourself, then automatically allows you to become more sort of compassionate and kind and forgiving to those around you.
Absolutely. Which comes to self-care, I think. Really, we're kind of taught this. We're supposed to put everybody else first. This is the thing, especially for women. We're still culturated that way. Culturated, that's not the right word. Anyway, whatever. I'm a writer. You can
we all know what you mean.
We're taught this, and so we have this idea that we have to put everybody else first, which often leaves us a little bit small and stunted and angry and resentful and insecure. And so being able to step back and say, no, I take care of me first, who I am, what I love, what I want, all of those things are important. And if I take care of myself, then those other things kind of go away, and I'm much more capable of taking care of others in a healthy way. So that's my philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think that is ultimately, hopefully, sort of a theme of the book, of these characters, like realizing that what's getting them in trouble is all of the sort of the duck that looks serene above water, but underneath it's just paddling so hard.
Oh, right. Oh, and I do. I love that about the books, all the misdirections. But okay, so let's talk about this whole social distancing quarantine thing. So you are in an apartment by yourself right now.
Yes, without any other human contact. I have a cat. I don't know. Oh, she's sleeping at my feet. It's cute. She started doing this when I'm on calls, but everyone's disappointed because then they don't get to see her. I'm here with a very cute cat in a large building where I don't know any neighbors. And so, yeah, it's kind of tough. It's been a
Right.
while since I've had a face-to-face conversation with anyone.
So what are your, how are you staying sane? Do you have any
Yeah.
self-care strategies to present to the rest of the world out there?
It's a great question. I think it's really important. I've been listening to, I'm a really big fan of Tara Brach, the meditation
Oh,
teacher and
wow.
psychologist. I'm sure you're familiar.
Yeah.
And she has a podcast where she shares sort of meditation talks as well as guided meditations. And those have been a total lifeline for me. She really focuses on self-compassion. So actually kind of exactly what we were talking about. And she has some really powerful tools for sort of triggering self-compassion and kindness towards yourself during times of anxiety and fear, which obviously is sky high right now.
Right.
And so I've been, listening to those and trying to do the guided meditations and following along. That's really important. And then also just spending time with my cat and like putting my phone away and just, hanging out with her and petting her and trying to appreciate those moments and just looking for the nice things. Today it's sunny and yesterday it wasn't, and that's really lovely.
That's
and I have a
huge.
cactus that just flowered and it was really beautiful and pink, and looking for even within my tiny world the things to be grateful for, of which I of course have so many.
Right.
So yeah, I think self-compassion, sort of mindfulness, presence, and gratitude are the keys always, but especially right now.
Especially now. And I think those are huge. I heard somewhere, and I've practiced this, and I believe it to be true. When you're in gratitude, you can't be in fear and anxiety at the same time. So the more time we spend in that gratitude state, it allows us to banish all of that for just a little bit. And so, I've amped up my gratitude practice too. I had one already, but I just really, for the small things, like you say, for the luxury and the privilege of being safe today, for breathing freely in this moment, for having the internet so I can talk to you right now,
Right. Yeah.
I don't know about, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I remember months or maybe years ago, so before we were specifically talking about a pandemic, but there was a tip in Real Simple that stuck with me, which was when you're stressed out about something, take a moment and try to find something that you can be grateful for within whatever's stressing you out.
Right.
So, I think the example it gave was like, if you're stressed about, needing to bake cupcakes for your kids' school the next day, and you don't have time and you're stressed out, like, okay, what's something within this that I'm grateful for? I'm grateful for this kid that I love. I'm grateful that this kid's in a great school and, loves their teacher and classmates. I'm grateful that I have a grocery store I can run to, and, just looking for those little things within it, and it kind of flips the script on that individual thing that's just really stressing you out or making you anxious.
Right, hugely. And that's a challenge in these times, but I'm finding like I have been in much more contact with my friends than usual. We get on the phone, we talk to each other, we support each other. Some of those kinds of things. The Viking and I are always a team, but right now we're like a super team. We're like getting ready. What do we need? What do we, all of that kind of stuff. So the partnership kicks in. Tara Brach is awesome. I've also been doing I'm a big advocate of meridian tapping or emotional freedom technique. There's a great app out there, you guys. I just downloaded this. Actually, it's the Tapping Solution app, and there's a free version, and then you can pay for some extra things, but it will take you through some tapping to calm the anxiety. There's just a whole bunch of really cool stuff in there, so highly also recommended. And then of course reading. reading. I've just been doing a ton of that. So, Andy, we talked a little bit before we started too about the importance of supporting our indie books right now, and our indie bookstores, and you wanted to talk about that a little bit. So,
yeah, I just wanted to share. I mean, if you have the means and you want to support authors, a wonderful way to support the entire publishing ecosystem is to order books from an independent publisher right now. And many of them, I would say most, maybe their sales floors are closed, but they're still taking orders and shipping directly to your home, or they'll offer curbside pickup. And, you know, with so many non-essential businesses closed, they're really, really hurting. And so it's a great time to, you know, kick some support their way. It's also a really great gift to give and send to someone you love. Send them a book, show them you're thinking of them, give them, you know, for $25 or $30, like 8 to 10 hours of entertainment. That's better than a movie, right?
Right.
And another great option, if you don't want to order specifically from one independent bookstore, there's a website called bookshop.org that launched pretty recently as sort of an alternative to the major click to buy one that we've all used. And it offers similar discounts. It's super easy to use, super easy to shop from. You just add to cart and buy. And it also, a lot of the funding, a lot of your purchase goes to support independent bookstores too.
Cool. And that was bookshop.com?
Bookshop.org.
Bookshop.org. Okay, very cool.
Okay.
And these you can get, by the way, while we're talking about this, Andrea's not going to say this, I don't think, but I am. So you can get her book through these indie bookstores. So imagine having, you know, your lovely book baby come out this week, and you know, if you're in the market for a really good book, this is one that you could buy that you will like. It's called The Herd. And then do you want to show us too, you have one other book that
yes. So my debut, which came out last February, came out about a year ago. It's called The Lost Night. It's now out in paperback, so it's even cheaper.
Awesome.
And it got great reviews. It is a murder mystery that is set in sort of the warehouse parties of hipster Brooklyn.
Ooh.
So you know, as you can maybe guess, I like setting my books into these little interesting, exclusive social ecosystems. And yeah, so The Lost Night is also available for purchase now. I would say on shelves now, but it's not, because
yeah, we're not going to shelves.
Another great one. And you know, both are available in audiobook. If you're an audiobook listener, there's a site called libro.fm. libro.fm, where you can buy the same audiobooks from publishers, but the money goes to an independent bookstore of your choice. So that's also a great option if you're into audiobooks.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing those. That's really awesome to have those resources out there. Of course, I am one of the authors that is significantly linked to that that big go-to site that we all go to.
Yes, and it's great too. And buying books from anyone in any capacity is amazing, and I don't mean to put that down. But they're deprioritizing books right now. They've said that. Understandably, they're devoting their warehouse to essential items right now. I think the book is essential, but it means it'll actually take longer to get it from there than from something like
absolutely. Bookshop. Deprioritizing all kinds of things, as a matter of fact, we discovered, because we use them a lot. I live in a small town, so even, you know, at the usual time, I use them a lot. So I'm like, we were short on batteries or something. I'm like, I wonder how long it would take to get batteries. So I go on like, oh.
I know, it's so strange. We're so used to 2-day shipping that every time I'm like, wait, what?
I know. It's just, it's interesting times, and interesting times is what I'm calling it. By the way, I am calling this virus Fred. This is just also my laughing in the face of fear thing that I do. I always humor is good. I refuse to invoke the power of its name. So at my house, it's known as Fred, and it is that unwelcome house guest that is.
Man, it's like, screw you, Fred. You're not right. Right now.
Yeah, you're going down, buddy.
Yeah.
So enough already. But I do love, and I do have to say this, that, you know, one of the things that I'm seeing is the amazing kindness of human nature that is coming out right now. And I'm seeing this everywhere, and it is blowing me away. People who are going out of their way to help their neighbors out and do those kinds of things. So be one of those people if you can. Just, you know, allow yourself to feel your feelings, but then go do the meditation or some tapping or something and bring yourself back to a place of, I don't know, unfear. It's okay to have joy even when bad stuff's going down. Maybe even more important, I feel, because it's what keeps us healthy and be able to think clearly and keep going and problem solve and do what we need to do. So it's okay. I want to throw this out there as one of my last things. Don't feel guilty for the happy moments or the joy or the bits of pleasure. Find those, live in those. And I hope one of those for you is going to be Andrea's book, The Herd, because it's fantastic and you will love it. Thank you so much for joining me today, Andrea. Where can people find you? I should say that real quick too.
Sure. So I am on Twitter and Instagram at Andy Bartz, ANDIBARTZ. I'm on Facebook at /Andrea Bartz author. And then my website is andreabartz.com. I've got a contact me form. I've got more about the books. I've got links to buy, all that good stuff. So I would love to hear from your fans.
And if you're not looking at us right now, you spell her name, Andrea, last name Bartz, BARTZ. And that's about it for us today. Thank you for joining us and for listening. Be well, be safe, be smart. Here's what the Viking always says: be safe, be smart whenever the kids leave the house. So
that's a good one.
Saying to you. It's a good one for the times. Yes. And I plan to be back next week with actually my audiobook narrator of most of my women's fiction books, Terry Clark Linden. She is also the narrator of my now independently done Shadow Valley mysteries, and they're awesome. I'm expecting the second one to be live on audio any day. We keep watching ACX for that to happen. So that's all good and fun. And you've got books to read. Find something to be grateful for. And that's it for today. Thanks again, Andy, for joining me. Good luck to you.
Yeah, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Take care of yourselves.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.